Welcome to the Church of Perpetual Life live stream. Tonight, January 28th, we are live with this live stream presentation here right now. And I'd like to bring a few items to your attention that were in the news recently. The London Financial Times reports that COVID shows that aging is like a disease. This is the headline of the article. COVID shows that aging is like a disease. We should treat it accordingly. Scientists are working on a new generation of therapies which could prolong years of healthy life. Amazing stuff coming out of the London Financial Times. And from the Biostasis organization in Germany, we have a great 5-minute video titled The Meaning of Life. While most people think that biostasis is strongly related to death, biostasis is about the exact opposite, life. This is why they created a short film about life and a meaningful and potential chance we have right now to extend it. Now, we can't show this video or these articles online during our presentation, but I can talk about them. So I'd like to invite you to connect with me. If you haven't seen our newsletter this month, connect with me and I'll get you copies of this. Also, Dr. Andrew Steele has published a new book titled Ageless, and the London Futurists group have a nice video interview with him. His book, Ageless, is about the new science of getting older without getting old. A startling chronicle by a brilliant young scientist takes us onto the frontiers of the science of aging and reveals how close we are to an astonishing extension of our lifespans and a vastly improved quality of life in our later years. It goes on to say that aging, not heart disease, but aging is the true underlying cause of most human deaths and suffering. We accept as inevitable that as we advance in years, our bodies and minds begin to deteriorate, and that we are ever more likely to be felled by dementia or disease. But we never really ask, is aging necessary? Biologists, on the other hand, have been investigating that question for years. After all, there are tortoises and salamanders whose risk of dying is the same no matter how old they are. With the help of science, could humans find a way to become old without getting frail, a phenomenon known as biological immortality? The book Ageless by Andrew Steele is available wherever books are sold, and we are getting copies of this book for our library at the church. There's a report that came out, exciting study on mouse immune cells, which reveals how we might reverse cognitive decline. This report by Sarah Hewson was a week ago Wednesday, published Wednesday, January 20th in the journal Nature, and it pinpoints the role of a messenger hormone found in much higher levels in older people and mice than their younger counterparts. When the hormone is blocked in older mice, then they are able to perform as well as more youthful rodents in tests on their memory and navigation. The researchers found that higher levels of the hormone affected the metabolism of immune cells called macrophages, promoting them to store energy rather than consume it. Links and copies to these reports and videos can be found in the last church newsletter that was emailed. If you did not get a copy, please email me and I will get them to you. If you hear of any interesting stories or great videos, please send them to me as well. And you can easily send me a message through the church website. We're very sad to report that an immortalist and longtime cryonicist, Larry King, who was a friend of Bill Faloon's, has passed away. He had COVID-19. It was in the news a few weeks ago. And at 87, he passed away on Saturday morning. For years, he had spoken candidly about death and was telling interviewers that he wanted to be frozen after he passed away, actually cryonically suspended. Unfortunately, it seems that his family had conversations with him and changed his mind at the end, or for whatever reason, it doesn't appear that he did make use of this opportunity, an ambulance to the future. So we mourn his loss and We hope that others will take advantage of the opportunities of cryonic suspension that is available to you now. Our next monthly service will be Thursday, February 25th, where we have an all-new presentation. It'll start at 7 p.m. and you can find us through our live stream link on our website, left upper corner. And that service will be a great update on age reversal and a new information that we have. So let's go now to our main introduction at the church, where we have a presentation by Bill Faloon, an update on age reversal 2021.
Welcome to the Church of Perpetual Life. My name is Neil Fandry. I'm your officiator here at the church. If this is your first time joining us at Perpetual Life, I'd like to invite you to join our email list so that we can get you updates on all that is going on with Radical Life Extension, and so that we can let you know what's going on at the church. You can join our email simply by sending me a message at neil@churchofperpetuallife.org, or send me an email through our website at perpetual.life. I understand that there are many people all over the world and all over the country creating watch parties using these presentations for their presentations, and I would recommend that you can also use our YouTube recordings as well. I'd like to invite you to have events like that in your communities. So often I'm contacted by people that say, is there a Church of Perpetual Life in their area? And no, there is not. This is the only one in the world. So join us. Luckily, we do live stream our presentations, and we have these recorded. So join us here. I miss you. I hope that we can get back to meeting in person. When COVID-19 passes, then I look forward to doing that. Please join me while I recite our creed. We believe that all of life is sacred and that we have been given this one life to make unlimited. We believe in our Creator's divine plan for all of humanity to have infinite lifespans in perfect health, eternal joy, rendering death to be optional. By following our gospel, we achieve eternal life, creating a heaven here on earth. We also follow Nikolai Fyodorov, who taught that the transcendence of the Creator will only be solved when humanity and our unified efforts become an instrument of universal resuscitation, when the divine word becomes our divine action. We follow Arthur C. Clarke, who said, the only way to discover the limits of the possible is to go beyond them into the impossible. And so we enter each day energized in spirit and empowered by the words of our prophets to live in joy, serving our Creator and all of humanity forever and ever. As you know, RadFest was this past October, and they had many amazing presentations at RadFest, which you can sign up for and see if you just go to radfest.com, raadfest.com. Please be sure to share this event and this presentation, this live stream, with all of your friends and family, all of those that you love. Here at Perpetual Life, we follow the prophet Arthur C. Clarke, who said, when a distinguished but elderly scientist states that something is possible, he is almost certainly right. And when he states that something is impossible, he is very probably wrong. We also follow the prophet Nikolai Fyodorov's philosophy of the common task for humanity. Fedorov believed, as we do here, that we should divert human energies away from wars and dissensions and toward measures for protecting mankind against natural disasters like floods and hurricanes and droughts, and especially aging, and to transform nature from a temporary enemy into an eternal friend. The Church of Perpetual Life is a transhumanist church. We are a science and faith-based church, and our faith is in the Creator and in the humanity to find ways toward a healthy, unlimited lifespan. Because of the COVID outbreak, we're not having any in-person meetings, so we invite you to join all of our meetings live stream until we get back to in-person meetings. I hope you enjoy this evening's presentation.
December 1st, a lot of media reported on a drug that reversed age-related cognitive decline very quickly, within days. And these UC scientists, they were able to show just a few doses of this new drug restored cognitive function in aged mice. It reversed cognitive impairments in Down syndrome models, restored memory function after traumatic brain injury, prevented all kinds of problems related to cognitive declines that result in us, unfortunately, losing our ability to function from a neurological standpoint. So this made a lot of headline news because the drug worked very quickly. It's new, and it may be applied to human beings within the next couple years. What's available right now is plasma dilution. We have some of our supporters experimenting with this, and there are clinical trials going on where you undergo an apheresis procedure where they will take your blood and run it through an apheresis machine to remove the senile proteins, and just replace it with healthy albumin and fluids. And they're seeing some rather dramatic results in some of the initial clinical trials, but it continues to work in the animal model. There's a couple dozen trials like this that have been done in animals, and every one of them shows improved neurological function, reduced brain degeneration. This study showed reduced neuroinflammation, which is an underlying cause of virtually all of the diseases we suffer from as we grow older. And another study coming out about restoring vision. Wow, you think blind people are never going to see again, and here this group has developed a way to restore the optic nerve in a way that they were able to regrow the axons that connect the various neurons and other neuronal type cells together. And this particular treatment restored vision in mice. This could theoretically reverse the blinding effects of glaucoma or eye injury or the many other ocular disorders that occur with normal aging. And these studies are coming out one after another, one after another. So this triggered some international publicity, and they used the Yamanaka factors, 3 of them, that trigger mature cells to adopt an immature state. That means a youthful state. And as a result of that youthful state, they started to regenerate. And long-distance axon extension then was able to occur in the optic nerve. As you know, when you go in for an eye exam, when they're looking for potential glaucoma and cataracts, they give a good look to that optic nerve, because glaucoma is not defined as high intraocular pressure. It's defined as damage to your optic nerve. So there's now a potential regenerative method to reset DNA methylation patterns systemically and enable blind people potentially to see again if this research applies to human beings. And the media continues to report on the very wealthy people who are putting lots and lots of money into age reversal research. And what I was impressed with this article that came out in September, I just saw it a couple days ago, is that Michael Bloomberg, he's indicated that he'd like to live to be 125 years of age. And that's very good because he's got lots and lots of money to support research that could very well enable him to achieve that. And if he achieves it, everyone else will get to do that also. But it's nice to see that the multi-billionaires almost uniformly are viewing aging as something they want to do something about. They want to intervene. They want to stay young or grow younger. And this is fantastic news. So in November, a study came out that made international headlines, and they used hyperbaric oxygen, and they combined it with the study subjects breathing in 100% oxygen during this treatment, and they were able to extend telomere length in a meaningful way, and they were able to reduce the number of senescent immune cells. And the media proclaimed that this enabled the reversal of aging. It got published in a prestigious journal, and then the media picked up on that journal and started reporting that the aging process has been biologically reversed for the first time. And that's not necessarily true. What they know from this study is telomere length extended about 20%, and there was a meaningful reduction in the senescent cell immune burden, but they did not prove that aging has been reversed. But this just shows you how much the media is excited about technology that can enable people to slow or reverse aging. It gets a lot of nice coverage. And the media reported on the details of where these people went in 5 days a week, by the way, for 3 straight months to get the intensive hyperbaric treatment and the high oxygen therapy, and they were able to show increased telomeres and decreased senescent cells. This is really significant. And this is the data. This is a picture of a typical hyperbaric chamber. The good news is they're building ones now that are so large you don't have to be put into a capsule, and that can be really good for claustrophobic people. But this therapy showed two major biological endpoints, and that is telomere elongation by about 20%, and then the senescent cells in the immune system, some of them anyway, reduced by 37%, improved immune markers. This is very, very significant, but what we don't know is how well it really reversed systemic aging, because they didn't do the baseline and follow-up test that we would have recommended. And these are the charts showing the improvements in immune function. Now those B cells, that's what excites me the most. B cells are bone marrow-derived cells released from the bone marrow. They convert into T cells in the thymus gland or whatever thymus tissue you may have left, and that's what gives you your immune function. And in response to this telomere lengthening therapy using hyperbaric oxygen, they were able to meaningfully improve telomere length in the B cells, and they were looking at different indicators of functionality, which were very, very exciting. And they were able to simultaneously decrease the number of certain senescent immune cells in response to the hyperbaric therapy. So this proclamation, human aging, has been reversed. And the scientists who did the study indicated that the telomeres of the trial participants were now as long, which is good, you want long telomeres, as they had been 25 years earlier. So that's really significant to think about a person 80 years of age rewinding the telomere clock so their telomeres elongate to the point where they were when they were maybe in their 60s. This is really, really tremendous, potentially even in their 50s if the therapy continues and they use ancillary telomere protecting or elongating therapies. So the treatment protocol, it was rather grueling from the standpoint of people had to have 5 daily sessions each week, and they did this for 3 months. So they had to go to the hyperbaric facility for 5 days a week, did that for 3 consecutive months, and it involved breathing in 100% oxygen by a mask for 90 minutes with some air breaks, in addition to the hyperbaric. So they really energized these people with a lot of oxygen. Each session time took about 2 hours, and if you go out and do this commercially, there are hyperbaric chambers all around the United States. The commercial price for 60 sessions is about $18,000, but that price may be going down as more and more people use these chambers, and the volume of use then reduces the cost. We're not necessarily advocating for this yet. We're just letting you know if you want to emulate it, this is how you do it. Now, the authors of the hyperbaric studies did acknowledge there are other ways to preserve telomere length, a high consumption of omega-3s, a diet rich in walnuts. Not eating walnuts as a snack, by the way. I'm talking about eating them as a meal, very healthy. Calorie restriction, healthy lifestyles. Everything we know pretty much that's healthy for us is also good for our telomeres. It helps protect telomere length. Now, there is a clinic in just north of Orlando in a place called The Villages, and our group supports them quite a bit with financial aid, and there's about 4 or 5 other major donors that put money into this charity to do age reversal research. Lots and lots of studies to see what works and what doesn't. Now, at The Villages is a hyperbaric chamber that's no longer just a capsule that a body fits in. It's like riding a bus. You go in there, you sit there with your laptop for 90 minutes and just work on your business on your laptop or whatever while you're undergoing hyperbaric therapy. This is only available in The Villages, which has, by the way, 77,000 older people who very much want to engage in hyperbaric therapy to potentially extend their telomeres, but also protect against stroke, rehabilitate from stroke. It has systemic benefits that a lot of people should consider. Now, a lot of our friends in the anti-aging community, they were critical of this study and all the media attention that it garnered. And I understand why, because they didn't document that aging was really reversed. What they were able to validate is telomeres lengthened and certain senescent cells were reduced. That's all they were able to do. And I do fault them for this. I wish they had done an extensive age management blood test panel, blood pressure measures, any kind of frailty index they could have incorporated, and then repeated that after the study was over, and we would have really known, did this result in any kind of age reversal? as measured by clinical indicators such as blood pressure, lipids, glycemic markers, inflammation, or surrogate measures of aging, the DNA methylation clock, the epigenetic age that would have told us, are these people really growing younger? It wasn't done, and I can understand why there is this criticism. But here's my rebuttal to the criticism. You go back to 1903, and around the world was a picture on the front page of newspapers that a glider with a motor took off and flew 120 feet off the ground. This was unprecedented, and yet the critics said, well, you've just developed a flying toy. There's no practical use whatsoever for this toy that the Wright brothers built on a beach in North Carolina, and it's just something that people will toy with, and there'll be amateurs playing around with it, but it's never going to become a flying bus. Well, guess what? 54 years later, that Wright brothers First in Light enabled intercontinental air travel. We go from a flying glider with one engine to commercial air flights around the world. And I analogize that to what we're doing with age reversal research. The hyperbaric study showed telomere lengthening and senescent cell reduction. That's all fantastic, but we're going to see over the next couple of years the integration of other anti-aging therapies and better measurements of baseline and follow-up to see if we can really achieve these types of benefits. Now, what we've been advocating for, well, the entire time I've been around is for people to correct their underlying disease risk factors. If you've got hypertension, do what it takes to lower that, including prescription drugs if needed to get your blood pressure, for most people, under 120 systolic. Get that under there, you're going to reduce a lot of problems. You keep your glucose and your lipids, and you want to optimize your hormones. This is all the basics that people should be doing. A lot of people aren't. But this is what we would recommend for the next hyperbaric study, is you measure all of what's on level 1 and see what happens after the study is completed. So an update here on intermittent fasting, also known as time-restricted eating. More and more of us are doing that, where we'll eat about 8 hours every day and fast about 16 hours. I've been doing it for a long time, by the way. I've gotten fantastic results, and I feel great doing it. But the New England Journal of Medicine, December 26, 2019, they published a review article in which they talked about the consistency of the data, showing that if you can just confine the time you eat each day to only 6 hours and fast for 18, you trigger all kind of favorable metabolic switches that increase longevity and decrease disease incidence, including the disease of obesity. Animal models show robust benefits, consistent, robust benefits to intermittent fasting. Everything we like to do by taking a pill, you can potentially accomplish with intermittent fasting. Human studies show what we take prescription medications for, such as high lipids, high blood pressure, chronic inflammation, diabetes, called insulin resistance here. We could potentially get rid of a lot of those drugs by intermittent fasting. Great, great news, published December 26, 2019, massive review article of all the studies that have ever been done on intermittent fasting. And then JAMA, Journal of American Medical Association, publishes a study in September 2020 in which they did not find benefits to intermittent fasting. Just a little bit of weight loss and no change in the metabolic risk markers. And this is what happens with science. Not every study is consistent. So we just have to look at how the study was done, maybe make some adjustments to how it was done, and hopefully be able to replicate it in a way that it does produce the results we're seeking. But the preponderance of published evidence indicates huge benefits to intermittent fasting. And in October, well, I guess we got rescued from our position because in Nature Research, another study published in which they only fasted 14 to 15 hours each day from morning till dusk. And there was some decent weight loss, 7 pounds over a 30-day period. That's a lot of weight loss, by the way, when it relates to reality, as opposed to commercials you see where people are supposed to lose 30 or 40 pounds in a month. It just doesn't happen. But nonetheless, a little bit of weight loss here, 7 pounds, and a little bit of reduction of blood pressure. But what's most significant here is in response to not eating 14 to 15 hours each day, significant increase in tumor suppressor proteins, and then a significant decrease in the pro-cancer proteins. So the idea is you may be dramatically reducing your cancer risk by intermittent fasting. They also noted the increase of a protein called calreticulin. And by a meaningful increase, 16 times, that enhances the IgG response to SARS-CoV-2. So there may be immune-enhancing benefits, anti-cancer benefits, and all kind of metabolic benefits to intermittent fasting. Cover of Vogue magazine, September 2020, they did an incredible report on all the different scientists at prestigious universities doing research aimed at slowing and reversing aging. The media continues to pick up on that, and I'm just going to go through some slides here starting around 2015. The world woke up to the fact that aging is potentially a reversible condition. And this is something that the media, one headline after another, shows how the scientific community and academia and big pharma, they're all looking for ways to induce biological age reversal. And there's all kind of different methodologies being employed: young plasma, plasma exchange, metformin, rapamycin, NAD, senolytics, all kind of ways that people are using right now to hack the code of aging to enable them to escape what normally occurs. Now, Popular Science did a nice article about the work that we're doing here, and they talked about all the different scientists who are doing the work, and they talked about me because I'm pursuing immortality. Age reversal is that first step, and then from then on, gene therapy to enable us to live for an indefinite period of time. So a cure for aging proclaimed on the cover of New Science and New Scientist. But let me explain why I'm showing you all these slides, many of which you've seen before over the years. I mean, Time magazine proclaiming that aging is no longer a dreadful inevitability. It was a special edition of Time magazine that published last year. But what is the significance of all this, including 60 Minutes? They're talking about George Church's research at Harvard, where he is using a gene modification therapy that he believes will protect us from viruses and enable us to reverse aging. He is very dedicated to making this work personally. He works around the clock at it, along with an incredible group at Harvard, and 60 Minutes gave them tremendous coverage in December 2019. But here's the significance of what I've just shown you. An individual who created the robots that make your cars, he died. Wall Street Journal does an obituary on him, and anyone who gets an obituary in the Wall Street Journal, they're usually rather significant, successful people. But how did he get the idea to use robots to make cars? Well, he read an article in 1952 in Scientific American describing a rudimentary computer program that told a machine how to carve up a piece of metal. And he went to MIT, and then he went to other places to figure out how could he develop programmable machine tools to build the cars that you drive in today, along with virtually every other industrial product. They use robots now, as you know, in the assembly line. Well, that was Mr. Inaba. He created a $40 billion company. He died at the age of 95, regrettable, but the genesis of this technology was the Scientific American article. If he didn't read that article in Scientific American, he would not have moved into this area and developed this technology. And that's what's happening, I believe, with the front cover of MIT Technology Review. Last year, we got very favorable coverage on an article. It talked about old age is over, which of course it really isn't, but it described again all the different scientists doing research, and it also talked about the odds of it working, the odds of it not working, but it gave me really nice coverage talking about RADFest, our annual age reversal conference, and my plans to move all of this forward with back then was called the Perpetual clinical trial. It's now been renamed the Vitality and Aging Research Studies, both intervention studies and the longevity studies. So the dilemma today, we target one pathway of aging in most of the clinical trials, and we see a little bit of benefit, but we're looking for meaningful improvements in health span and longevity. Solution: intervene with a cocktail of treatments designed to improve the health as measured by markers of biological age. And that's going to be done through the interventions of multiple therapies, not a single therapy. We're talking about 4, 5, 6, 7 therapies administered in a sequential order in an attempt to meaningfully reverse aging in people. Not just improve biomarkers and clinical measures. We want people to feel better. We want to see their frailty index go in reverse so that they're not as vulnerable to falls. If they do falls, we want stronger bones so they're less vulnerable to fractures. Put everything together, we need to meaningfully reverse the aging process with a combination. It's simply a matter of putting the pieces of the puzzle together. I feel we are so far more advanced with age reversal technology than the Wright brothers were. It's unreal. But we can't wait 54 years for it to become a commercial reality. The mandate that I have put together, and it's based on the fact that we have lost supporters since I started this in 2015, started the Age Reversal Project. People want to reverse their age. Some of them have died, and I know how they died. I follow up on every single death to find out why are people who want to live forever dying prematurely. So the new dictate, so to speak, coming from me is that no one who participates in an age reversal program backed by hard science is allowed to needlessly die. Certain deaths, of course, we can't prevent. No more needless deaths. And the big one out there are our supporters. They are older, and older people, unfortunately, have vascular insufficiency. They have a lot of degeneration in their circulatory system. So they have heart attacks and strokes. Now, they delayed those by decades by eating healthy, by exercising, by maybe taking the right nutrients, drugs, hormones. They delayed it. But at some point, they do suffer these calamities. And what I'm advocating is when you get your blood test results, don't just look at them and put them in a drawer. Correct every single underlying risk factor, be it LDL, small dense LDL, be it a hormone deficiency, be it blood pressure, whatever is a risk factor in your body, correct that so I don't get another call from a family member saying my loved one is no longer alive. And I spend days going through their medical records, finding out what did they do wrong. And in every single case, they did something wrong. A lot of it just delay. So harsh reality is if we're going to achieve our objectives, we need to have level one, the foundation of optimal health optimized, and then we move into level two. If we don't optimize level one, it's just not going to work. I can tell you that. And also, you might spend a lot of money on some of this if you're not in these clinical trials. I know people who spent tens of thousands of dollars and then they don't get the benefit they're looking for. And then I look at level one and they're a metabolic mess. I say, well, why didn't you correct your underlying risk factors first before you went down to Panama or somewhere else and spent a lot of money on something that maybe only produced modest, if any, results in what you were seeking to do? We don't have time to delay age reversal. We grow older by the second. It's a scary phenomenon. People who want to live forever are making bad decisions. Some in Redstone donate a lot of money to charities, some of it to science, but you know, he never put money into specific projects aimed at reversing his aging process. He wanted to live forever, boasted he would do it, and he wound up dying at age 97 from dementia complications. He's worth a lot of money. He could have supported us early. He just didn't know. I'm not faulting him. I'm just saying a lot of wealthy people who want to live, they're making mistakes and they're dying. And this is one of the mistakes. People who are hanging by a thread who decide, I guess I'll call Bill and see what kind of age reversal program he has. And in many, many cases, I have to tell them, I hate to say it, you've got so many comorbidities. You've got so many chronic underlying illnesses that, well, you're not qualified for our studies. You can read what we write and follow it if you want, but we're not going to let you into our clinical trials because you may not survive. You literally may not survive the treatment. That's kind of scary. So delay could equal long-term failure. So again, our objective is to combine the age reversal interventions. Many of these are prescription items, but we want to put them together so people can at least have the best opportunity to live a little longer, maybe live a lot longer, or reverse aging completely. And I'm just going to conclude with a study that we helped fund a number of years ago, and it dealt with the bowhead whale. And what's interesting is their maximum natural lifespan is 268 years. And bear in mind, natural lifespan means you don't have access to any kind of medical interventions. So you're going to be really tough to survive out there in the ocean for 268 years, and if one little thing goes wrong with you, you die. And what we did is we sequenced the genome of the bowhead whale to identify the genes that help explain their long lifespan and their apparent resistance to diseases. And what we were able to do is take that genetic sequence and donate it to anybody who wanted it to seek if they could use that genetic code to reprogram human gene expression patterns to enable us to live to 268 years or longer and reduce our risk of horrific diseases. And I'm going to conclude with a New England Journal of Medicine cover It was an editorial called Getting Comfortable with Risk, and describes who we are: the daring innovators, the disruptive thinkers, and the volunteer patients. That's us, by the way, and I'm one of them. The volunteers who put our lives on the line in order to advance medical science and hopefully reverse our aging process. But without us, very little medical progress could be made. So thank you, New England Journal of Medicine, for endorsing our vitality and aging research and everything we're doing in various groups to defeat biological aging.
Okay, so Bill once again has given us a lot to ponder, a lot to talk about. We're so glad to have Bill as our founder here at the Church of Perpetual Life, and thank all of you for watching us live. I know many people will be watching the recording of this, and some people have asked questions and made some comments I'm going to get to in a moment. I'd like to encourage anyone through the recording, if you think of any questions that you have on this or have any comments, by all means, send them to me through the email, through the website at the church, the churchofperpetuallife.org. You can email me a message there. I want to remind you that our next monthly service will be Thursday, February 25th at 7 p.m. And you'll always be able to find a link to our live stream in the upper left corner of our website. I'd like to go over a couple of other items that were in the news before we get to the questions and answers, and encourage all of you who are live streaming with us now to put your comments and questions into the chat box. The Fortune magazine had an article titled "Cracking the Code of Biological Aging Could Solve America's Healthcare Crisis." It went on to say, with COVID-19 hopefully soon to be behind us, why not launch an Operation Warp Speed for biological aging? Despite recent progress, we invest far too little in research that could help us go further in understanding and treating aging. I would like to commend Eli Dordado, who did this report, and he said at the end, with COVID-19 hopefully soon behind us, why not launch an Operation Warp Speed for biological aging? That would be great. As the Biden administration takes power, I'm now quoting the article, as the Biden administration takes power, it will face many challenges, but it will have an opportunity to set priorities. By prioritizing the study of aging, the new administration could chart a new trajectory for healthcare spending, make our politics less divisive, and best of all, offer Americans more healthy trips around the sun. Again, I thank Eli for this article, and this was in one of our past newsletters from the church. The weekly Science Alert this past week said study of more than 1 million people finds intriguing links between iron levels and lifespan. Then in the BBC, there is a short video, Can Science Reverse the Aging Process? The idea of slowing down the aging process and living healthier, more productive lives is hugely appealing. It has led to a growing trend for people looking to take control of their own biology, optimizing their bodies and minds through biohacking. So this is a BBC reel. If you didn't get, or if you no longer have your email from the church, by all means, send me a message and I'll get you a link to this video. Reuters News came up with an article, Chinese scientists develop gene therapy, which could delay aging. Gene therapy, which could delay aging, from Chinese scientists. Beijing Reuters, scientists in Beijing have developed a new gene therapy which can reverse some of the effects of aging in mice and extend their lifespans, findings which may one day contribute to similar treatments for humans. And this was in Reuters, a Reuters report, January 19th, 2021. Another great video from Big Think is their Life After Death, and it's got interviews, short interviews with Sam Harris, Bill Nye, the science guy, Michio Kaku, and others, wherein Michio Kaku, the famous scientist, you see him all over the TV, said, digital and genetic immortality are within reach right now. There's a link in one of the past newsletters from the church, and if you would like to receive a newsletter, by all means, let me know if you're not getting it. Also, I know some of you are not wanting to get any emails from Constant Contact or iContact because of the tracking that those particular emails do, I can send you directly from me a copy of the newsletter as well. So if you'd prefer that, let me know and I'll send that. Just emphasize in your email to me that you'd like to receive it in that method, and I can send you the newsletters without any tracking connected to it. So we have a couple of questions and answers and comments. First, we have one that says, I'm curious about how Bill managed to get his HDL and LDL to go in reverse. And he goes on to say that he had previously attributed this to intermittent fasting, but he's wondering if Bill believes that there are any other factors at play. And I'm going to send that question to Bill and try to get that information to you. Another one, comment came from my good friend Steve Frank that fasting is simply the best intervention that we can do to begin healing our bodies. It's something that we all can do. We all can do intermittent fasting. It doesn't cost us anything. It just takes a focus on our concentration of what we are eating and when we are eating. It's one thing that everyone can do to begin the process to live an unlimited lifespan. And there was a question that said, did anyone actually do anti-aging gene therapies on people yet? And the answer came back that yes, actually, Liz Parrish with BioViva is working on gene therapies, and she's got a few ideas on that. You can go to contact Liz or someone at BioViva to talk with them about the gene therapies they're working on. And they're not alone. There are others that are working on gene therapies for people now as well. Want to welcome or thank everyone from around the world that came. We had people from Greece, Ireland, Melbourne, Australia, Tucson, Arizona, Maine, from several parts in Florida, and other places in this country. I want to thank you all for joining us on the live stream. There was a question that said, wondering what the best dosing interval is for DQ. It seems that Dr. Green recommends 100 milligrams a day for 3 consecutive days. And I appreciate that question. And I'm going to send that off and see if I can get you an answer. And again, if you're asking a question in the live stream or from the recording, be sure to email me. And if you don't want to reach me through the computer connection, you can also email me easily at stopoldage@aol.com. That will come directly to me as well. There's a comment made that everyone should give a thumbs up to this YouTube video. So please do, whether you're live streaming or you're watching the recording, please give us a thumbs up. And let me just check one more time to see if there are any other questions that we have coming in. Let's see. Well, we have someone coming in from England. Welcome from England. Thank Eric. Eric, my good friend Eric, who is saying that the headlines are looking good lately. And we are certainly looking forward to some great successes from all the work being done around the world. I want to concur that Bill is brilliant. And again, thank Bill for the presentations that he gives us, the fact that he has founded this church, and he and Saul are wonderful people. I've been asked to talk about myself. I also do intermittent fasting. It's something that I do. I like to have any food that I eat within a 24-hour period. I eat it within a 5 to 6 hour period. I am also working to do an intermittent fasting, like take a 24 or 48 hour period. This is something that I'm working up to. We all have to do things in our own schedules, and be sure to watch over yourselves and connect with people, connect with your community here at the church, and have a buddy. Make sure that they know what you're doing and you know what they're doing, and connect with them so that you're in a good position. Question here, NAD versus NMN Fornad repletion. Anyone post this event, the event on the longevity subreddit? So I'm going to spread the word on that. Final words from the church itself. So let's go back to the church as we end this evening and wrap things up. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you for attending our live stream this month. Be sure to get our monthly email newsletter for updates on our next service and other updates and discoveries in age reversal technologies and health practices. Please share the recording of this event and our other events with all of the people that you care about, your family, your friends, those that you love. And join us next month for another brilliant presentation here at the Church of Perpetual Life.